Anytime the deep fryer comes out, you know it's gonna be a good episode. I grew up in farm country, in a part of the United States that seems like it's about 30 years behind everybody else. And because of that, I remember in my childhood a lot of little old ladies making homemade donuts for church functions, or family gatherings, or potlucks, or whatever it might be. And I have great memories of those donuts. And in a future episode, we're going to make those traditional donuts with the hole in the middle and all of that. However, today we're going to be making crullers. Our recipe today comes to us courtesy of 75 Receipts for Pastry, Cakes, and Sweetmeats by a Lady of Philadelphia, which was published in 1830. I'm pretty excited about this recipe for a couple of reasons. One being because it's donuts, and who doesn't like donuts? And two, because I get to use some ingredients that are new to me that I've never worked with before. One being whole nutmeg, and the other being rose water. In the comments below, why don't you tell me some ingredients that you've worked with recently that maybe were new to you? The recipe starts by cutting in a ½ pound of butter into 2 pounds of flour. Now the flour was supposed to be sifted, but I kind of forgot that part. You're then going to grate 1 whole nutmeg and add that to your flour mixture. Add a teaspoon of cinnamon and then give that a good swirl. After your seasonings are stirred in, you're then going to add 3/4 pound of powdered white sugar. In a separate bowl, crack 6 eggs and then beat them. Pour your eggs into the flour mixture and then slowly stir it together. Once you have something starting to resemble dough, you're going to add a tablespoon of rose water and mix that in as well. If your dough is still not wet enough, you can stir in some cold water until it is the right consistency. The recipe specifically says to use a knife to stir at this point. Before we turn our dough onto the surface to work with it, we're going to flour our surface. And then we're going to dump the dough on there, and it's okay if it's crumbly, that's going to pull together in just a minute. Start to knead the dough, and this is going to take quite a while until it forms something that looks something like this. Then you're going to divide your dough into 4 quarters, and taking each quarter, you're going to knead each one individually, and then when it is satisfactorily put together, put that aside, and then knead all 4 together at the end. Once the kneading process is done, you're going to dust the top of your dough with flour before rolling it out. We want to get this about a ½ inch thick, and the recipe says in a square. However, mine did not get anywhere near being in a square. It was definitely more of an oval. The recipe says to use a jagging iron or a sharp knife to cut long strips out of our dough. I did not have a jagging iron, but I did have the next best thing, a pizza cutter. We're going to set our deep fryer at about 360 to 365 degrees, and then put in some lard. Nobody said this was a health food. At this point, the directions say to twist these up into various forms before we fry them, so that's what I'm going to do. I would like to note that in 1830, of course, they would not have had a deep fryer. They would have been using a cast iron pan on a stove. However, I did not feel like having a kitchen fire today. Once the oil is heated up, drop a cruller into the oil and allow it to cook on one side until golden brown. Flip it and then let the other side get golden brown as well. Scoop that out of the oil, and then we're going to set that on a tray, and we're going to cover that puppy in sugar. And at last we are done. Crullers from 1830. crullers? Well, let's see. They have a crunchy outside, and of course the sugar out there is very sweet and forward when you eat it. Can definitely taste the nutmeg, and the cinnamon is very subtle. It's more of a nutmeg flavor than it is the cinnamon. The inside is nice and soft. I think these are going to be gone very quickly. The strong nutmeg flavor, this gets a 9 out of 10. It tastes exactly like you would expect a donut from this period to taste like. Texture only gets a 7 because while frying, they tend to fall apart quite easily, as well as when you're trying to sugar them, they tend to break apart, so some points off there. Visual appeal gets an 8. Not much to say there other than they look brown and they don't always hold their shape when they fry. 5 points for simplicity. This probably is not a recipe you want to try if you are a beginning cook. And finally, 8 points for being a repeat recipe. I liked this recipe quite a bit. However, I think if I were to do donuts again, I would do traditional donuts and not these crullers. That makes our total score 37 points out of 50, which makes this our current number 5 place, right behind the Cheese Club sandwich. Make sure to stick around for future episodes as we have some exciting stuff coming down the line, and remember to subscribe and also follow us on social media. See you next time on Recipe Reviver.